Chair will call the meeting to order. Danette, would you take roll, please?
Tommy Joe,
Present.
Jan Layden,
Present.
Matthew Ray,
Present.
William Walker sent in, he wouldn't be here.
Excuse
Mr. Stewart is also sent in. Vice Chair Debbie Strongin.
Here.
Debbie Dodge is in Hawaii, so she will not be dialing in,
Some excuse.
Yeah.
right? Michael Wismer,
Yay.
Yeah. I'm here.
and then Elena Giacci, I think sent something that she was on her way, so.
Question to the county attorney. Do I have authority to order a bench warrant for Debbie Dodge and Hawaii? Don't answer that, Ken.
Your Honor,
the-
we need to find a judge to sign it.
Lay people. Lay people.
How about a retired judge to sign it?
Yeah. The chair will determine that there is a quorum for business purposes, and we'll proceed. I want to welcome you all, particularly members of the public, if any there are. And this is the Sheriff's Office Advisory Review Board October meeting. Is there somebody else?
Markayla?
She's on there.
Yeah, she's on, in addition, she said she's on the way in,
Okay.
so she can hear us. Item three on the agenda is the consent agenda. Is there a motion with respect to the September 13 meeting minutes?
I move for approval.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded that the September 13, 2024 minutes be approved. Is there any unreadiness? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes for September 13, 2024 will stand approved. Item 4 on the agenda is public comment. Are there any members of the public who wish to address the SOARB? Hearing none, and I don't know that that's Markella's purpose, but certainly we can deviate when she gets here. If she wishes to address us, she doesn't have to do that by telephone. So.
Thank you. I'm not here to make public comment. I'm just here to listen in.
Okay, thank you. So I will then determine that there aren't members of the public here for comment. Danette, I think you shared with me that we received communication from the sheriff. He will not be in attendance until the November meeting.
Mhm.
So I don't think we have anybody here in representation of the sheriff or the sheriff's office. So unless there's objection, we'll go ahead to item 6 on the agenda. 6A calls for an update on the SOARB South Valley listening session. We had thought that Ms. Giacci would be here. I know that Mr. Stewart will not. And so certainly if she comes, we'll yield for her comments on that. But I know Esteban has been preparing some press information on that. And so if you would, Esteban, would you enlighten us about your role in the South Valley listening session?
We also have a KRQE News 13 is listening in. You're here to listen in, or do you have any comments? Listening.
Okay.
Okay, sure. So the information came over yesterday from Elena about the meeting. So I drafted a news release this morning, and it's been sent out by email for review and comment. There's a quote that needs to be approved. And Elena has put together a flyer, and she emailed it a few minutes ago, and it looks pretty good from what I glanced at it on the phone. She also emailed me saying that she has reached out to some community stakeholders who are aware of the meeting, and that she's hopeful that they're going to come. So as soon as the news release is approved by you, Judge Jewell, then we will use the language of the news release to place a calendar item on burnco.gov, and I'll forward it to our social media person and ask her to please post something about it on social media. And then next week, probably on Tuesday, is when we'll issue the news release. And hope we get some pickup and that encourages some people to come. And any of us, and I mean, any of you who have know people who might be interested in coming, and certainly that's the case for Elena. She hopefully is going to be the main driver of getting stakeholders to come out. There's a good prospects. I was doing some review and I saw that the South Valley meeting that the sheriff did the other day. Wow, there's a photograph where it's just overflow crowd. It was very successful. So hopefully we have something similar.
Is it possible
Yes,
to post this at the senior center? Can we post this?
I think so. We can
Is that-
certainly ask. Sure. Make a note of that.
I know that's one more task. Maybe Elena could post it.
Well, I'm happy to email it over and they're.
If somebody will post it for us. Okay,
Sure,
thank you very much.
you're welcome.
other questions for Mr. Vasquez? Well, I appreciate you standing in and giving us that information. And I know that there's some urgency in me approving whatever needs to get out. And so as soon as you tell me it's ready, I'm sure I'm going to approve it. So
Okay,
just let me know.
thank you.
Anything else on the listening session? I want to remind the board, it is not a meeting of the board. We cannot have a quorum there. And if minutes are not kept, it's strictly a listening session as termed, where we're wanting to take in information from the public. So that's my little bit on it. Yes.
I'll send you an email as someone, but a reminder just to put that on our website, the little thing that we put the listening session. And we'll be taking action. You have your verbiage, but I will send a reminder. Just
Okay.
put that up.
Thank you for that. So if there's nothing further on the listening session, let's move to a discussion of the annual report. Our vice chair is present, and I'll yield to her for comment on the draft of the annual report.
Thank you. I'm actually yielding to all of you guys if you have any comments on the draft. I know I'm waiting for feedback on a couple of things. I think Elena is going to write up the listening session after it happens, and Michael Wismer is also going to write up one section of the report, which he volunteered to do, which was so great. And then I just, the forward, which is for our chair's signature, we have to just make sure we know who the chair of the, who the head commissioner is at the point where we submit this, because it might not be Commissioner Baca at that point. It could be somebody else in January. And then I'm not, so on the page of the forward also where we're thanking people, I know Estefan is going to get back to me if there's any other media sources or resources that we should be thanking. And I'm not sure if I covered everybody who should be covered from BCSO in that. So if you can think of somebody else who addressed one of our meetings or helped out in some way from BCSO, that would be, just let me know. And
I would
otherwise,
think we want to make mention of those folks who served on SOARB, but as we have discussed, Debbie Dodge, like her, have moved on. So I don't know. Do we have
Yeah.
others who have
well,
left during the course of the year?
Sorry, I have under board members in the forward, I have, at the end, I have and former SOARB member Joseph Lopez. And I just wasn't sure. I don't know what Debbie Dodge's status is exactly, if she's a former member or a current member. So we'll have
Well,
to.
we'll try to get clarification on Debbie Dodge.
Yeah.
This is Markella. Hi, come on in.
Sorry to interrupt.
That's all right. If you want to sit at the table, you certainly can. Not, plenty of chairs. And again, if you have something to say, we'll hear you at some point. Yeah, we'll try to get Debbie Dodge's status clarified. I think as our county attorney has offered, she's on until she's off, but we know that she will be off. And so in that regard, it's probably appropriate to thank her publicly in our report.
Okay,
Um,
absolutely. I can certainly make that change. And, you know, the rest of this is just if anybody has any suggestions or issues they want to bring up about the report that aren't covered, keeping in mind that I'm trying really hard to keep it to basically 10 pages. And right now we're at 9, not counting the exhibit, which is just the ordinance. So,
Yeah, and I appreciate that and certainly entreat us to keep it to less than 10. I know it's difficult for me to have to read lengthy reports.
Hi, Debbie, can you hear me?
yes,
Okay, thank you. I wrote you some information you didn't include. The sheriff mentioned AI at the September meeting, and there are some general concerns about AI in law enforcement. May I write you again about including that his reference to AI and that
yeah,
his.
I didn't get something from you about AI. I think I got something from you on another.
I'll write to you again. I think we should mention AI in the annual report that the sheriff is using AI.
So
He's
let's
not-
also
the
keep in
sheriff
mind.
is not. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Madam Vice Chair.
Well-
I just want to say, let's keep in mind that whatever gets put into the report is not Debbie herself, but
Yeah.
the product of the entire board.
Right.
Yes,
And so we have a process. What's our timetable, Madam Vice Chair?
Well, I think, you know, we've always tried to get these reports in, you know, we have to get it in sometime in January. So, I'm not sure when the county commission meets in January of 2025, but we need to get on the calendar for, you know, whatever their meeting is. I mean, I think we should definitely have this finalized by our December meeting. Like that, at
Usually-
that meeting, we should have gone over this and maybe have to take a final vote on some item or another. But
So
I-
the last 4 years, you decided in December. I send it on over the final report on Minitrax to be approved, to be put on the January agenda. So it has to be done by December in order for me to get it in, get through all the approvals and it be part of the January agenda.
So I think we want to envision final approval by this board by next month, Madam Vice Chair.
By December, that's when we usually do it, December
Well,
meeting.
yeah, but we want to have the complete draft by that December meeting.
Mhm.
So if something's going to get input, I think it needs to be in, and
Mhm.
Dr. Layden, of course, is talking about getting something there.
Is your view that we would be voting on the items in the report on the December meeting? Because we usually have a up or down vote on the items contained in the advisory portion of the report before we finalize.
And you usually have your session in November, your special session to
To
complete.
approve it.
Yeah, to
To
complete it.
completely improve.
To-
So that's consistent with your saying. So yes, I envision that we will have the substantive parts of the report for approval at the November meeting. Is
Okay,
that satisfactory, Madam Chair?
that sounds fine to me. And yeah, Diane Layden, if you want to write something up about AI, I
I
don't
will.
recall the
I'll send
sheriff's.
it to you and to
Fine,
Judge
but
Green.
please keep it very brief as possible. And also, just as to something you mentioned earlier, I don't recall the sheriff saying he was using AI. I heard him talk about in great detail how he was looking into it and had many aspects of it to consider. So if you have different information, you know, we need to.
I do. I wrote it to you in the recommendation I made for the annual report. I'll resend that paragraph to you. Thank you.
Okay, well, I don't want to take that up now. So, yeah, get that to us, Dr. Layden, and we'll plan on
And-
voting then in November.
Ken Martinez, you can confirm this or tell me I'm wrong, but I believe it's okay if individual board members email me with a comment, as long as I don't circulate those, and it's, you know, they just reply to me with a comment. And then I can either incorporate it or not incorporate it, but then it has to go into a draft that will go to everybody. I can't do a back and forth. Is that right?
That's correct. What we want to avoid is reply alls,
mhm.
and make sure the communications are just never exceed 2.
Okay, I mean, what I can do, I can send it out to everybody as a BCC, you know, to myself, and then BCC all the board members. And that way, even if somebody pushes reply all, it will still only go back to me. So maybe
Right.
I'll try doing it that way.
Wait a
And
minute, you want to send the annual report to the board at this time?
Not right now,
Later,
later.
when it's final?
Whenever the next draft comes around.
I believe Danette sends it.
What's that?
I believe Danette sends the annual report
To November?
the county commission.
She's been sending a draft. She's been sending a draft.
Yeah,
In this instance.
yeah, the final report will come
Debbie
from,
Strongin.
well,
But that's fine. She can, Dr. Layden, circulate a draft to us in the manner that
certainly.
she's suggesting. And I guess the entry is that we not respond, reply all. As long as we're
Right, but
communicating
I
with
mean,
her.
I'll also send it not as a BCC, but to Stefan and Danette and Daniel. And that way, you know, they can do a reply all, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. But if any board member does a reply all, it'll still only go back to me and the, you know, the CCs who will not be board members. So. it
Okay,
shouldn't-
all right, here's
Okay.
Elena.
Got it.
So I think that's pretty clear, and regardless, if Danette sends one out and you send one out, then we have a couple, so no big
Right.
deal. Thank you.
Okay.
And the
So-
minutes may reflect that, Elena Giacci is present. Welcome, Elena.
Thank you.
We had, some brief discussion on your agenda item. We'll circle back. in case
Okay.
you have something to add to that.
All right.
But let's, anything else on the annual report?
Interesting.
Well, just, you know, since Elena just came in, just a reminder that I'm looking to you, Elena, to provide a summary of whatever happens, a write-up of the listening session.
Oh,
For the
okay,
annual
yeah.
report. Yeah, and just, you know, keep it as short as possible, because we're still trying to keep this to 10
You know, like,
pages.
the listening session
Like
was great.
8, 10 pages, that'd be good.
You know, 8 or 10 lines,
Simple.
8 or 10 words, 8 or 10 letters. Okay.
No problem.
My only
Mr.
other,
Education. You got it.
Madam Vice
My
Chair,
only-
something else?
you know, just my only other comment is, does anybody at this point have any questions, comments, observations they want to make about draft 3?
I see Mr. Wismer's hand.
Mhm.
There are 2 things I'm following. And when I open my mouth, I know I'm going to be doing some homework because of it. But the first thing is the sheriff's comment. The last time I was at a meeting, he talked about the potential to hire 2 people. And with the overall goal of trying to put more administrative tasks onto administrative staff and law enforcement work on law enforcement officers. And one was to create or add another crime analyst, and the other was a oversight, administrative management type position. And the reason I am interested in those is that because if the sheriff does not he thought he would be able to get approval. At least that's what I took from his comments. If he's not able to get approval, I would like the board to consider in their final vote a comment that would help to the Bernalillo County Commission, encouraging them to fund those positions had they not been funded. Because I believe the effort to take the administrative tasks into administrative realm and put more law enforcement officers on the road and on patrol is the right way to go. So that's what I'm kind of following to see if you got it.
And I think you spoke to this some at the last meeting, Mr. Wismer. And when you say comment and help me, you may mean recommendation.
Yeah,
And-
recommendation.
And I think that would be okay with the board. Certainly there'll be the opportunity for us to vote. So if you want to draft that as one of the recommendations, certainly I invite that.
Well, I knew I was getting homework. As a result
Just
of-
like you said.
Well, there,
And the
yeah,
second
Michael,
item,
sorry,
go ahead.
there's already a blank space in the report saying
Right.
Wismer to supply.
Yeah, I
That's,
know.
that's
know.
for that
I'm waiting
item.
to-
So
I'm waiting to figure out if the sheriff got his approval.
That's fine.
From for those positions. The second one is one that I would like to reframe, and that is with respect to the extreme risk fire protection order. Our comments seem to be focused on litigation for the previous sheriffs, and it's my view that I think we should refocus that on advocating for the use of the extreme risk firearms protection order when appropriate. The sheriff has already engaged with the attorney general, from what I read in media reports, to make sure that all law enforcement officers are offered training on how to use it. But let me step back a minute.
And this is red flag to be clear.
Right.
Red flag, yeah, it's called extreme risk firearm protection order. Let me step back. In the East Mountains where I live, we had just had a horrible incident where a family member shot and killed other family members. And in the sheriff's presentation, he talked about this is going to generate some conversations about the red flag laws. Instead of a comment about litigation from a previous sheriff, I would like to reframe it, and I know that I will have to do the writing, in terms of advocacy for continued growth and development of training of the use of this law. And the other component that I would ask for, and I'm looking at you because hopefully you could give me some feedback.
You in this case is Vasquez.
Esteban.
Esteban?
What I noticed in the behavioral health initiative has grown in Bernalillo County is that there's been a lot of marketing for behavioral health services. If somebody is feeling bad, but find them help. You know, that was the touch and tone that I hear coming out of Bernalillo County. Well, in my opinion, in order for a red flag or this extreme risk fire protection order to work, a person knowledgeable of someone in trouble has to come forward to law enforcement and help them write the petition for cause in order to invoke that law. And if there was an education component that went along with this law to the public, that the same way that the county has taken on the behavioral health initiative in terms of, hey, if someone's hurting, this is a tool that is available. Here's how it works. You have to you talk to the law enforcement officer. Together you write the petition that then goes to the court. You know, some way to make this more than just taking somebody's gun away. This is really about helping somebody who might be in need. And the tragic incident in Tijeras just brings this all to mind.
I'm sorry, Mr. Rubin. Go ahead. I'm wanting to know, is the focus of this then us making that educational piece?
No,
or
the focus is
sheriff,
in making the recommendation that both the county commission and maybe the sheriff
Right.
work on together on an educational component that goes in tandem with the officer's training is more of what I am advocating for, because the officers may know the technical details of how to get the petition put together, but unless they have someone who knows the individual, who knows that there's a red flag coming out, this individual is not behaving like they have in the past, there's something wrong. And, you know, the family member knows more than the law enforcement officer who's there on a quick hit, you know, or touch and go, as we used to say in the Air Force. So I would like to reframe this away from the previous litigation and not worry too much about that, because there's nothing we can do about it and we can't comment on it, and reframe it more towards, hey, there are things happening in our community that the red flag law might be important. Let's get on the bandwagon and see if we can't market this a little better and make it a tool that, you know, that in my view, from what I'm watching, the sheriff is already doing his part to train his officers. It's the public now that would need to come forward and communicate to the officers that, hey, there's a problem. We learned, and I know I'm speaking too much about this, but I learned when I studied in depth about active shooter that people don't just snap. They give indicators. They give indicators that there's problems. And if a family member who knows a person knows that their behavior has all of a sudden gone way off the rails, it's not a psychological term, but beyond what is normal for that person, and that person owns a gun, it may be time to speak up to law enforcement and help them put that petition together. So I would like to reframe it around that concept as opposed to what was previously put in here about litigation that we really don't have to say.
Draft something and see if we can get consensus on it.
Oh, and I wanted to say about the red flag, ever since red flag came out, all of the domestic violence service providers and sexual violence service providers in the state are aware of the red flag. Only because it's so critically important to take those guns away from perpetrators who have a record of intimate partner, domestic violence, child abuse, any of those. Unfortunately, what has occurred is because of a lot of issues around taking weapons away, one of them that has kind of haunted us and did that was, where do they put the guns once they get the guns, you know? And there has to be a safe, and there has to be a way to make sure that they're protected, and it's quite extensive. And so that has always been one of the big issues around red flag. Also around red flag is sometimes and oftentimes it's not enforced, or we can't get a petition around the red flag, even though we may have evidence around that. That being said, I like the idea of allowing the public to have more information about red flag, because the service providers have been kind of fighting this issue for a very long time. And, you know, there's some very legitimate issues around the fact that there's, you know, you have to really have a place to put those guns, and you have to have someone watching that place. You can't just like say, okay, now it's all locked up. And then taking away from law enforcement officers becomes a huge issue. So you have a law enforcement officer that has been accused of having a domestic violence. At what point in time does that gun get taken away? Does it get taken away?
So I apologize for the interruption, Ms. Giacci. It sounds like we're getting into a substantive discussion of red flag in our discussion of what should be in the report. And so it sounds as if you're proposing some advocacy for public education. And this fits in with what you're saying. And so as he drafts that, will you have input that we can consider?
We can work together.
And it sounds like, you know, perhaps we need some more education about red flag. I don't know if our county treasurer would perhaps agree with your interpretation. Public is needed for a petition. I don't have the act in front of me, but at any rate, it sounds like an educational effort is something that's needed. And if I hear you, Mr. Wismer, you want the report to reflect that some educating needs to be done consistent with with the sheriff's office component of educating officers.
And if interested, there is a task force on this issue, and they have an annual report. They've had to put out a report. They're probably working on theirs, just like we're working on ours. And so I will be happy to send everybody the link. And you can read it at your leisure.
What are the components of this task? This is a county task force, I assume.
It's a multi-agency task force,
Multi-agency.
overseeing the results of the use of the red flag law. And it goes into demographics and who uses it and the process.
Right.
And how successful it's been.
Mhm.
It's actually a pretty good report, not as good as.
Is
Our report.
Is it perhaps something we need to reference in our report
Yeah.
and
I would say-
suggest?
Please send it.
I will
Please
send,
send it.
Okay.
Let's reference it.
Yeah,
let's send it.
all right.
And I didn't want to get off topic, but this.
No.
And it's certainly germane,
Mhm. Yeah.
particularly as we look at trying to get a report done in short order. Vice Chair Strong.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say, just, it sounds like it makes a lot of sense, and I agree with focusing on public education about this and not on acts of a past, of a prior sheriff. So, I would just ask that you draft all these things that you've tasked yourself with, Michael, sooner rather than later, so I can send out another draft as soon as possible.
Well, we know on this board that Michael Wismer is a man of his word.
Absolutely, we
indeed-
do know.
He indeed will have something for consideration. So we appreciate that. Thank you for bringing it to the fore. Anything else on the report, Madam Vice Chair?
Nope, not unless anyone else has any comments, questions. That's all I have at this point.
Okay, hearing none, with the thanks of the chair, we'll move on then. Item 7 is new business. There's one item under new business, discussion of the KRQE. Sheriff Allen weighs in on drug informant federal tip-off case.
Hi,
And
yes.
this is you, Dr. Layden. Go ahead.
Hello. I resent you the articles. One is from KRQE and 3 are from the Journal. And the last one from the Journal from September 26th refers to the sheriff touting reforms after these 2 deputies, Linker and Jessup, were prosecuted. And I wanted more details about what the reforms were in the hiring process or the supervision process that would eliminate the possibility that this could happen again. So,
Can we move this to the next agenda?
yes,
Have
we
a
can,
sheriff's
please.
representative here.
Let's move it to the November meeting and let's ask the sheriff's office if they will comment
Yeah,
on
we
what
can give them
reforms have
heads up.
taken place.
Yeah, I send them.
From this article, September 26th, Bernalillo County Sheriff touts reforms after deputies prosecuted. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else on that?
No,
Um,
not from me.
Are there other matters that I've neglected to, I said we'd go back to the listening session. I see that our chair of that
Let's go
subcommittee
back.
is here with,
Some flyers, yeah, but I want to put out that I just want to get kind of an overall approval of the flyers before we put them out, but we have them ready. The day that we announced that that this board approved the listening session, that information went out through like the website, and then it went out,
Yeah.
in more of a general way. So, and we got the information so that, the, what it would say and everything. So that's great. That's all good. So I'm real happy with that. And, I think the bar is set pretty low since when we did that one listening session that the county commissioner requested that we do and nobody showed up. I'm hoping that we can beat that bar and go above that bar. But many of the underserved communities have been notified that this was going to happen. I think the flyer is nice. It's more, that we can do that. I think the media stuff, that anything that we can do in that vein is going to be great. And so I'm looking forward to it. Everybody, is invited.
We just shot a piece of Brian Cranston.
Great.
What?
Like name drop?
Never mind.
I've been the only one that got the reference.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're breaking bad on it.
I know, we are. And so doing things like, that can always help. We would like to put flyers out, as soon as possible around the area, but also really counting on people like Linda, who's sending it to the neighborhood associations and things like that, I think are going to be really critical.
Well, we know time is of the essence
Yes.
on that. So are you looking for approval of the
Well,
flyer now?
My understanding was the flyers needed some kind of approval.
Well, let's take a
and
look.
stuff.
Let's take a
From
look.
the board, right?
From the board, I think,
Yeah,
and
okay.
from like everybody else, so just kind of putting. That.
That's it, the Mr. Boskus there and
And so
He
that,
approved
and
by
I
the
sent
legal-
one to you that you could also adjust if you would like, if something isn't right or anything like that. Because we want to make sure that we have approval, that it's all good. We would probably frame it a little bit different as far as like listening sessions up front and then drop it down a little bit. But, want to make sure that it meets with the approval. And like I said, I sent one that you should be able to, nobody else has got that copy, but you can adjust it. So,
Incidentally, I don't, this is inside. I don't know if I mentioned that I'm not able to post that. I will be
yeah.
Visiting my newest grandchild in the Bay.
Oh,
My apologies.
how sweet is
For my
that?
absence, but she doesn't know me well.
And she needs to know that.
Yeah, she does.
So that'll give you an idea. And I also know that I think there was a little confusion on why we originally did not invite the sheriff to this listening session. And it would be for the same reasons we didn't have the listening session up at the sheriff's office, was realistically having a law enforcement present when you're asking for a listening session from underserved communities. We want to make sure that nobody feels like there'll be any kind of reprisal. I mean, the idea is that there has been kind of a longstanding feeling around law enforcement and underserved communities.
Can we don't ask, don't tell on that? Because
We could.
I don't know that we can prohibit the sheriff.
No, I don't think so.
But
I think,
We're not,
no, we're not prohibiting him by any stretch of the imagination. What we're trying to do is make sure that people feel free to say what they want without any kind of fear that something could happen or, people are taking their pictures or anything like that. We just want it to be as friendly as possible, and certainly that can be done with the Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office. I just wanted to kind of clarify that because a couple of people had asked questions about that. And so we just wanted to make sure that it was really clear of, not that we don't want, it's just a different kind of frame of what the session was about.
so we want to make sure that the focus of this is an environment in which folk who may not always come to the fore can feel comfortable coming
Mhm.
and discussing with candor the issues that they might have.
Right.
And so we're not gonna say, oh, and the sheriff will be there or anything like
Yeah.
that.
It's just a listening session. It doesn't mean, we say listening session with the Sheriff's Office Advisory and Review Board, SOARB. And so, but I do think that and we've also agreed that the idea of this listening session is not really giving immediate feedback or anything like that, but taking those comments, delivering them to the sheriff's office and saying, here are some of the things that we feel were addressed to you. Here are things that we can do. And so doing something in that vein. And, who knows, we could maybe later do a follow-up in the same area with the sheriff talking about the things that he heard. and, you know, what can be done. I mean, that's always a possibility too, is doing a follow-up with the sheriff's office and say, here are some of the concerns we heard. Here's what we would like to help support.
So someone will be taking notes.
Yeah, I'll be
Oh, you'll
taking,
be taking.
yeah, either Jim or I will be taking notes enough so that we can have a list of things that we're
Right,
concerned.
we're not keeping minutes.
No.
But certainly we expect those of you who are good enough to go to be able to bring back to the board
Right.
concerns or compliments that you
Certainly feel free to make those notes. We can always combine all of that, but we want to bring those concerns to the sheriff, and anything that we have any power to do is to be able to say, oh, this is something we could put in our recommendation for this new, you know, phase of the report or something like that. So, yeah. So that's kind of where we're coming from.
All right.
And thank you. And I look forward to it because we'll see who shows up. We'll see what kind of comments there are. But I think they can all be considered good, and I look forward to it.
Stephen, does this need to go to anybody else?
No, I think that under the circumstances, importantly, there is no Bernalillo County logo on this,
Right,
which is one of the things that if the logo was on it, then we'd have to like,
right.
have it more. But nothing is spelled wrong. There's nothing that,
That's,
that-
Aren't there 3 Gs in it?
Yes, I think so.
so, and given the fact that we're not gonna post this on the website,
Right.
we're not gonna put it on social media. So I see no reason why this could not be distributed. If you all approve it, this is your
Yeah.
your
In
flyer.
that context, is there a motion?
I so move.
I second.
Moved and properly seconded that this flyer be sanctioned for distribution. Any comment or question? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. All right, I think you've got that approval. Esteban, did we need something else approved with respect to?
I think just if you have any thoughts on the news release, just let me know. And if it requires a minor revision, I will make it, or even a major revision.
That's the one you sent out, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's lovely.
Okay, and you have that, Elaine? Yeah.
Yes, but it was sent out, so I don't know.
Okay, any other items for discussion? Markella, did you say you were here in a representative capacity?
Yes, so I'm a field representative for the mayor's office. So I'll be sitting in on these meetings, kind of listening in
Oh,
and
nice.
attending your events and stuff.
Will
And I
you tell Mr. Keller we said hello?
I will, and I brought some cards for you guys to take. So if there are any community
So will
issues.
this get us parking?
I'm not that powerful.
Wow.
But if there are community issues that you guys hear about that need kind of that special attention, I'm that person to do that research on policy and that kind of thing to get you guys information. So please feel like this is not a one-way street. I'm not just here to listen, but if there's information you need from me as well, I'm
You
here to
did
be a
get one of these
resource.
flyers.
Yes, I
Okay.
did. And I will be at
You
this
can-
event.
And I will actually send that to you, like a hard copy, so that you
Oh,
can send it out.
fantastic. That would be great. Yes. So I'm just here to participate and sit in and listen.
Well, thank you so much for being here.
Of course.
Anything else anybody has? Motion to adjourn?
Yeah.
What's the date of the next
Next
meeting?
meeting.
Oh,
Is
okay.
it,
Oh, that's in November, huh?
Yeah, be in November, our habit has been the second Friday. Shall we deviate?
No.
And then
Are
also,
you guys
Dr.
gonna
Layden,
do a
want
special
us to
session?
start the conversation about some holiday gathering?
Yes, last year we went to the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center and had a holiday lunch at
Mhm.
Christmas time.
And that was nice.
Can we select a date, the week of December? Well, now, the meeting would be on the 13th of December. We could have our lunch the following week. Would that be okay, the week of the 16th of December? Okay, let's everybody look. Are there any
Are you
dates?
saying the meeting would be a Friday the 13th?
Yes, it will,
Another
on
Friday
December
the
13th. If I don't have my 24 calendar, who's got a December 24?
Here you go.
Matt does?
Yeah.
Okay, so our meeting would be on the 13th. Okay, can we have a lunch the week of the 16th?
Any day.
like Thursday or Wednesday, the 18th or 19th of December. Does that sound good? Does anyone think of a problem they have? Staff are invited but aren't obliged. Markella, Michael, Debbie, are you free on December 19th? It's a Thursday or a Wednesday, 18th? Is there a preference? Okay, I will call, is the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center
It was very
okay
nice. It was
on
good.
12th Street?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
I enjoyed it.
Okay.
And I think they've done some revamp since we were
The
there
food's
last.
good and
Yeah.
the price is okay.
December 18th?
Okay, Indian Pueblo Cultural Center, I'll ask
I
for
think she said the 19th.
the
the
19th. If they say no, I'll say the 18th. But let's try for the 19th. Thank you so much.
And no gifts, please.
No gifts.
Nothing like,
It's all
the big
Dutch
flag
treat.
you guys got me last year. It's embarrassing to watch.
What time?
So I should cancel the statue.
It was the suit.
Yeah,
It was
uh-huh.
a great coat. We gave you a full-length coat. No
Please,
gifts.
Do we want to say 11:30 or something?
11:30.
Is that-
Let's go 11:30 on December 19th.
Spouses,
I'll call
significants are
today.
welcome.
Yeah.
And I'll let you know if we've got a reservation.
I won't be able to make it, but thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay,
Um,
okay. If you'd like someone to attend in your place, they're welcome.
Okay, yeah, I will let my office know.
Like the mayor.
Okay, I will let.
You can ask, right?
Yeah,
Is
of course.
Julianne Baca actually on?
No.
No.
Okay.
Oh, she is. Julie, you just popped in.
Hi, thank you so much for your attendance. We have
Hi,
County
Julian.
Attorney
Hello.
Jim Martinez as well, and we're certainly honored to have you all
Oh, yeah.
attending.
Nice.
Julie, a question came up about the status of Debbie Dodge. Can you share with us what her status is vis-a-vis the board?
Let's see. Hold on one moment.
I didn't mean to have to make you do research.
No, no worries at all. I'm happy to answer any questions. So Miss Debbie Dodge, she is term is set to expire on 10/27. I know that she would not be continuing to be, or was not interested in being reappointed, but she will continue to serve until a replacement is appointed, which I have scheduled for November 12th.
And there is at least one more member similarly situated. I have not given notice, but do not intend to serve another term. So
Okay.
I just
Thank you for
give
that.
you that information for your edification. I'll do the proper letter, but just know that.
No, I
And this
appreciate
is
that.
Elena Giacci, and I said that for the time being, I'm interested in continuing, so,
Okay,
yeah.
Okay,
glad to hear it.
thank you.
This is Michael Wismer, and I'm in the same situation for right now. I'm interested in continuing on.
Great.
Perfect. Thank you for the confirmation.
Continuity.
Anything else from anybody?
Was the meeting on in November on the 8th?
Did we not discuss the meeting in November? I think that was
So we said the 13th.
13.
Also, sir, are you guys going to have a special session to discuss
The final
your draft?
draft.
Who said something about November 13th?
Is
That's
That's
our meeting
Wednesday.
date, Friday, and then the 19th is our.
13th, I think, is in December,
That's December. Okay,
December.
November meeting.
would be.
November
The
13th.
8th would be the normal date. Is there any opposition to just scheduling this for the 8th of November?
Nope.
Is that too soon with respect to having a draft of the next draft of the report? Strong.
No, it isn't, not for me. It's a matter of, I
How
guess,
about
Michael, you
you,
have
Mr.
most
Wisner, with all that you're
to do.
taking on?
And
Is that all right?
Elena
I'll
also.
Yeah.
do my homework.
And I'll make sure the report is submitted before that time. So are we looking to approve a final draft?
Well, I
on
think
the
that's what we're
13th?
saying. Obviously,
On the 8th?
we're
In
gonna
December.
try to final it next month to get it out by the end of December.
Okay.
Okay, so that's, something comes up, there's still time, but we have the report and we'll be ready to get it out. So the 8th of November is satisfactory with everybody?
Yes. It's fine
That
with
then
me.
will be the next meeting,
Okay, we're meeting on the 8th of December.
8th of November.
The
And
8th of
13th
November.
of December.
We're meeting on the,
13th of December, which is a Friday.
Let's look at the calendar.
okay, and we're meeting on the 8th of November.
8th of November, 13th of
Of
December,
December.
and then the luncheon
Will
would be
be
the
on the
19th
19th.
of December.
We're good.
Okay,
Great.
Motion to meet on November 8th.
is a motion needed?
Well,
You all understand the meeting time would be, any opposition to meeting on the 8th of
Nope.
November? The 13th of December, we'll say at this time. We'll revisit that in November, but then also plan on an activity on the 19th of December. Celebration.
It was nice the last time. I
Yeah,
really enjoyed
very
it.
yeah, that was fun.
Dr. Layden does a tremendous job with that.
Oh,
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
Well, we have some big heroes around here too, because we also have Debbie who, in spite of the term thing, has decided to stay on and complete this 2024 one. And I mean, the work that goes into it, just when I've participated in just the editing part
Mhm.
is huge. So a big thank you to Debbie for,
She does a tremendous
Oh,
job with
very
that
good.
and other
Yeah.
things. She is the heart of this organization.
Incredible. so
Make
big
sure.
thank you from
But
all of us.
I want to emphasize again, this is a report from all of us. So,
Yep.
everybody has a part in it, and it's not from me, it's from us as a board. So
Oh,
thank you,
modesty
everybody.
will not get you out of this assignment.
Darn.
All right. So with those laudatory comments about our vice chair, the chair will take your motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Second,
Second.
Second.
any opposition?
Absolutely.
We'll then stand adjourned. Thank you all.
thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
So my apologies.